Well, hey kitties, it's Retro Dad. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for watching this content and subbing to my channel. I now have 300 subs, so I want to do a special thank you to you guys who subbed to my channel. We're going to talk about that and a little bit more after this. If you want more gaming and collecting content, don't forget to subscribe to stay in the know. Thank you so much for subbing this channel. I now have 300 subscribers. I did a 200 video back at one of the Calitz's. It's Calitz Gamers for Kids 2019, 10-year anniversary. But I wanted to say thank you guys for all the subs. I have over 200 subs now, and I don't advertise my channel, but thank you so much for finding my content. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you for subbing. And more content's coming, and look for this video. I'm in the process of moving, so you might not see it for about a month. Most of this channel is built on my favorite console, which is the NES, as you see right here. I finally got a brand new NES game, one I've never owned. It's not a homebrew, but it is unlicensed. Never owned this before. I had the other one on the Aladdin Deckhand, but not this one. So I got it for a pretty good deal with a couple other boxes I got about a month ago. So let's talk a little bit about my journey into collecting. And I shot a video in 2018 where it was for new subscribers. So I wanted to do as a bonus for you guys, for my 300th thank you. Here is that video. I might interrupt here and there, but remember this is 2018 and the reason it was not released was I was so busy during that move and all the other stuff. And I wasn't entirely happy with it, but it's only about 6-7 minutes long. I'll tell you my journey to an extent. It won't show everything, but I'll talk a little bit things. Some things that are brand new I've never talked about before. So here it is, how I got into retro collecting. For you new subscribers out there, let me explain how I got into retro collecting. Well, I've always been a collector. I started with baseball and basketball cards, moved into VHS movies, and then went to video games. I was collecting in the 90s. I started with the NES and got some Genesis stuff as well. The last Genesis game I bought was in 2002, and that was Mortal Kombat 3. Let me show you the receipt from it. And I stopped buying NES games about, I think 99 was the last one I bought, and the last game I bought was Friday the 13th. Now I knew about Nightmare on Elm Street, but I really didn't know about Friday the 13th or didn't pay attention to it. So I saw it at I think it was a Game Trader. I was like, Friday the 13th? Okay. Took it home, popped it in, and I could always get to Jason's third form, but I could never beat it. I think I only fought his mom like maybe once or twice too. In 2002, I was introduced to a game called HeroClix. And I bought 2 boosters to play with my housemate. And I pulled out 2 uniques out of one booster and another one out of the other. And right then I was hooked. I enjoyed the game. It was like an advanced chess game with superheroes and villains. So I kept buying them. I started collecting the sets. I had many complete sets, many LEs, many uniques and exclusives. But it was hard to catch up. And that was one thing that kind of turned me off from HeroClix eventually. Now around this time, I was introduced to an emulator as well. So I was playing retro games on a computer when I was in college. When the Virtual Console was available for the Wii, I bought Castlevania 1 through 3, Bubble Bobble, Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. And I didn't buy any of the Mega Man games that had the Mega Man Anniversary Collection. But I wanted my physical games, but they're at my parents' house at the time and they were buried. I was still doing HeroClix stuff here and there, and at the time I was an educator. When I decided to get my master's in film, I left teaching behind. But I was getting an itch to play some of my old games again, a lot from the PlayStation originally. So I started in 2008 starting to buy PlayStation games, and I really wanted my 16-bit and my 8-bit games. In 2009, I started my official journey back into collecting. I was buying retro games again. I started with Double Dragon 3, PlayStation games. Ended up getting a Sega Nomad with a bunch of Sega Genesis games, and a Super Nintendo Model 2 with a bunch of Super Nintendo games, and many, many NES games. One question I got asked before, did anyone influence me to do a collecting show? And the answer is no. Actually, I was thinking about doing a collecting show back in 2011, 2010, but I didn't think no one would watch it. In about 2012, I started experimenting with it. In 2013, I decided, hey, let's go ahead and do it. So I wanted my show to be informational, but also entertaining. At first, I wanted to be more informational than entertaining. So yes, I do throw some bad jokes in there. I do some wackiness, but mostly I wanted to keep it informational. Now it's kind of a little bit of both. When I started doing the actual Retro Dad series, that was different. It was part information, part sitcom. And that version of the Retro Dad in the sitcom, like the Dark Game of Chaos and The Revenge, there's a couple other ones too. That Retro Dad's more of a sitcom. It's a completely different character. It's not the one I do for the retro collecting. The retro collecting one is more calmer. Well, actually, my show should have started in 2010 with a show called Take a Look Back. And Take a Look Back was going to be a quasi-review show, like video games, movies, toys from the 80s and 90s, all nostalgia. Well, something happened in 2010 where I lost all my files. Goodbye, files. They went bye-bye. Could not get them back. And that was including films of mine, scripts, and the show I was working on, Take a Look Back, which I was working on many different episodes at the same time. I never really wanted to get into reviews. And the reason why is I thought many people were doing it, even though I thought I had a different, unique perspective. Like, anyone who does reviews have a unique perspective. Well, I did experiment in 2011 about Wrestlemania Challenge. They have other things on their minds besides wrestling. They avoid you as much as they try to attack you. It's like a first date. You have to make the first move and see if he or she is into it. You attack, and see if they want to attack back. And I never released it. It was just an experiment. Maybe someday I'll release it. I was also doing one called Retro Shorts. And I did a couple of those, including one called The Boglin Terror, featuring Xander, a very young Xander at the time. It was more of a concept piece. It never came to fruition because he was such a little boy and he was kind of hard to manage at the time. You can only give a kid M&Ms for so long. When I started my show in 2013, one thing I did as a mistake, I didn't make them public. I thought I did. I actually make them all unlisted. Why? So when I published them, publicly a year later, it looks like I just released them a year later. No, they've been out since 2013. I do play modern games. Like right now, I'm playing God of War. Well, the new God of War. There's been many God of Wars before this one. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm at 300. Thank you again so much. Have fun. Go game. See you later. So half of my basement's done. I have the arcade units up. I swapped WrestleFest and I think the Marvel unit and the Final Fight unit, kind of switched them around. So now the WrestleFest is at the very end and I have the Turtles, Marvel, and Final Fight 1, Arcade 1 up. I've been thinking about getting the Golden Axe unit, but realizing that I don't have a space for it right now. And honestly, I haven't really got a chance to play a lot of these ones like I wanted to over the summer. I rushed to get that basement done. As the basement slowly starts becoming the true game room that's going to be, I'll have more time to play. So I'm going to hold off on getting any more Arcade 1-ups, even though I think the Golden Axe 1 is higher on my list than, say, the NBA Jam 1. I almost thought about getting the NBA Jam 1, but I'm like, at least the Golden Axe 1 has 4 games. I think that's a little bit more worth it. But $400 with the Xbox Series X coming out, PlayStation 5, and some other games I'm planning on getting, and some retro stuff I still need to get, I'm going to hold off.